Hi everyone, Lee here. Welcome back to Grain Free Insights and this exciting interview with Abigail Marie, the chef with IBD, who's been transforming the kitchen for those with irritable bowel disease or anyone who wants to eat grain free. Today, Abigail brings us a sneak peek into some festive recipes that will leave you inspired to try something new. We're talking refreshing non-alcoholic drinks, mouth-watering appetizers, and holiday classics like her perfect roasted spatchcock Thanksgiving turkey. And let's not forget dessert. You're going to want to save room for her grain-free holiday pecan pie and her show-stopping apple upside-down cake with salted caramel glaze. I can hardly wait to begin. One thing you need to know that is going to be helpful to a lot of people, all of the recipes Abigail shares are carefully crafted to be grain-free and SCD compliant, along with other diet protocols, making her recipes safe and delicious for anyone who follows the specific carbohydrate diet. In case you don't know, the specific carbohydrate diet, also known as the SCD, it's a nutrition plan designed to support those with inflammatory bowel disease, like IBD or people with celiac disease, even people with autism. The list goes on and on. It allows you to focus on easily digestible foods that don't ferment in the gut. So it eliminates complex carbohydrates, which means also eliminating grains. Yay! Refined sugar and other ingredients that are hard to break down and may aggravate intestinal bowel disease symptoms. So each recipe Abigail has developed keeps that principle at heart, ensuring that every bite is both flavorful and gentle on your digestive system. Now, we're going to dive into a few of the recipes in this interview, but you're going to find links in the show notes for her full holiday list. It's an incredible list. We're so glad to welcome her back again. Abigail, it's so great to have you back on Grain Free Insights. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be back.
I think that our viewers are going to be very happy that you're back because one of the biggest challenges for people that eat grain-free, gluten-free is trying to pull together a really wonderful holiday meal that tastes so good that even your guests who don't have to eat that way will enjoy it.
Yes.
And you're here today to share with us a ton of recipe ideas. I can hardly wait to begin.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I do have quite a few holiday recipes. Holidays are always close to my heart, and I love cooking and having everybody over. So it was important for me
Yeah,
to make these recipes for me, and then I'm happy that I get to share them with all of you.
that's great. And just to remind everyone out there, Abigail is a professional chef. So when she develops these recipes, she's just not tinkering in her kitchen the way that I do, but she's actually using her wisdom and expertise to put together fabulous recipes that I'm sure you're going to enjoy. So in the introduction of this video, I listed all of the recipes that we're going to be sharing. All of the links are going to be in the show notes below. But what I'd love to hear from you is what were some of your favorite recipes that we're sharing? And tell me anything and everything you can.
Yeah, absolutely. So for appetizers, I just this last week actually was my recipe that posted. It's this caramelized onion dip, and it's so good. I love it. It's creamy and cold, and I was looking for a caramelized onion dip that was dairy free and did not have the SCD yogurt in it because every recipe I kept finding it was like the SCD yogurt or the SCD drip yogurt, and it's wonderful, but it takes so long. I really don't make it very often simply because it takes a long time. So being able to make one that's dairy free without that, so much faster. The secret, I will tell you, is cashews. You blend them up and they're so creamy, really good, good replacement. So I'm very excited about that one.
Do you soak those first, the cashews?
Yes, yeah, you do have to soak them so that they blend up really nice and creamy. But yes, I soak them in boiling water for about 30 minutes.
Yeah, that's nothing. That takes no time at all.
Yeah, much faster than 24 hours for the yogurt.
Exactly. And just to let everyone know what Abigail's referring to as SCD yogurt. That's a yogurt that people that follow the specific carbohydrate diet use. I make that yogurt all the time. I always have it on hand. I can't always tolerate dairy that well, but SCD yogurt I can because it's a 24-hour cooking process and it destroys most of the properties that would cause you to have issues if you're lactose intolerant.
It is great. And I also am lactose intolerant. And like even before my IBD diagnosis, I could not do yogurt, but I can do the SCD yogurt.
Yeah.
And it's great if you already have it on hand, but I don't usually. So I wanted something a little easier.
I have a friend who is also lactose intolerant, and she decided that she was going to make 15-hour yogurt instead of 24. Guess
Oh
if it
no,
worked or not.
probably not.
Not. No, that 24-hour yogurt is at 24 hours is very, very important.
It
So
is.
what's the next recipe you'd like to talk about?
So I also have like a nice little appetizer, when everybody's talking and you just want something small. I have these little apple cranberry brie bites. And so there are a few cheeses that are allowed on SCD. And I do them sparingly, but I can do them. It's this really nice cranberry reduction. It's almost like a cranberry jam, but it takes like 15-20 minutes, very easy, just in a pot. And then it's got the little slice of brie and the apple slice and the little dollop of cranberry. And it's just a really nice little appetizer. So I really do like that. That's one of my favorites.
What else?
I also have a cracker recipe that is almond flour. So I love that with the dip. Sometimes like raw veggies can be difficult, like especially like carrots raw or like raw cauliflower. So I really like using those crackers for any dips that I do for appetizers. Or even if you just do, some people like to do just like a cheese board with honey. The crackers are really good for that too. And I serve them every year, and I've had people request them. Like my friends are like, "Hey, let me have that recipe," and they're like, "There's no flour?" Like, so it really is a good recipe. A lot of people like it.
Are the crackers crispy? I've tried some
They
almond
are.
flour crackers that are moderately crispy.
And then
Some-
yeah, and it's like they're kind of almost chewy kind of in the center, but yeah, these are really nice and crisp. And if you want them to be like darker or lighter, you can adjust the cooking time, but I do like them to be crispy too.
Okay. I'm going to ask you a question about one of the recipes before I ask you to continue with some of your
Yeah.
favorites. You talk about roasting a turkey and the way that you do it. And any of you who have ever read the cookbook Salt, what is it? Salt, Fat, Acid, Heat. I think I have that.
Yeah.
Simone Nosrat. She talks about cooking a spatchcocked chicken,
Yeah.
which means flattening the chicken and then you're cooking it evenly all over the surface. I have a really hard, I used to be able to make turkey with no problem, but now that I'm living in the mountains, I don't know if it's the altitude or what. Anytime I try to make a turkey, the thermometer will say it's done. I'll do it even for longer than the recipe calls for. And when I cut the darn thing open, it's not completely cooked through.
Oh no. Yeah, I love spatchcocking, but I really do like doing it that way. It's so much easier than having to try and put it in a bag, which is like not great for you and not great for the environment. Or, it's like constantly opening the oven, basting, closing, opening, closing. And it's like, how much is it cooking? How much heat are you letting out? And then that makes it take longer. So I really like doing it that way. I think it's much easier. It's just the initial cutting out the backbone. Some people don't enjoy doing. So if that's not for you, maybe get your significant other or someone else to do it for you.
All right, continuing on, what are some of your other very favorites?
Yeah, so I really like the butternut squash casserole recipe that I have. So it's supposed to be like sweet potato casserole. And I went into making the recipe, and I was expecting it to be kind of like watery and like not quite right consistency. And I made it, and I was in shock. Like it literally tastes like sweet potato. I had people try it at Thanksgiving last year and they thought that it was sweet potato casserole, which to me, like that's the biggest compliment.
Some people are allowed to have sweet potatoes. I think sweet potatoes are
Yeah.
Whole 30, aren't they?
Yeah, they are Whole 30. They're also paleo, and they're modified SCD. So if you do modified, I think they're on there too.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Keep going. This is exciting.
Yeah. And then like the topping on it, it's a crunchy like pecan streusel topping. And I really like that. So, traditionally for sweet potato casserole, it's either like crunchy topping or like marshmallow topping. And I decided to go crunchy, but if you are a diehard marshmallow fan. I have a marshmallow cream cheese dip. If you just leave the cream cheese out and make the marshmallow part of the dip, after it's done cooking, you can put it on there and use one of those food safe blow torches and make like a marshmallow topping.
Great. What are some of your other favorites?
Yeah, so I also have a green bean casserole recipe, which I really like. Yeah, I have to have that. My brother does not like mushrooms, so like he does not, that's not for him, but I had to have it. I love it. And I also use cashews in that to make it really nice and creamy. And also, my first few Thanksgivings, mashed potatoes, right? Like have to have mashed potatoes, but potatoes aren't SCD. So I had tinkered around with the cauliflower mashed potatoes and all the recipes. I had tried a few recipes and it was just like watery and not the same. So I was like, well, I guess I'll give it a go. And so I made it a few times and I finally got it to where it's like that same consistency, really nice. So I do have that recipe on there as well. And I chose to put garlic in it. If you're not a big garlic fan, you can always leave that out. I do also have a cranberry relish dressing, but it's actually inspired by my grandma's recipe as a child that she would always make for Thanksgiving. It's like cranberry relish jello, basically, but it kind of has that cranberry relish consistency and it has nice, fresh, bright orange and it's got apple and then the fresh cranberries. And so it's kind of near and dear to my heart because it's my interpretation of
Oh,
what my grandma always made us. So yes, I do have that too. And if you want more of like a traditional cranberry relish, like the that comes in the can, you could do the recipe I mentioned earlier, the cranberry to go with the apples and the brie bites. You could just make that by itself and let it cool down, and that would be a great substitute for
wonderful. Wonderful. You're making me really hungry, by the way.
that. I'm getting excited about Thanksgiving.
I am too. And I dread it. I usually dread it
Oh,
because
really?
trying to make it so my whole family really enjoys everything and they're
Yeah.
so used to the old-fashioned traditional recipes.
Yeah.
Any others that you want to highlight?
I don't think I talked about stuffing. You can't have
Oh,
Thanksgiving
well,
without stuffing. I do have a grain-free stuffing also. It You kind of make the bread first and then cube it up and then kind of assemble it all. The bread recipe is inspired by Danielle Walker's cashew blender bread recipe. That was kind of my inspiration for the consistency of how the bread was going to be. And yeah, it's really lovely. It's got like nice apple pieces in it and celery and all the good spices. And yeah, I think it's nice.
and you have turkey gravy also.
Yes, turkey gravy. I have the hardest time trying to thicken gravy without cornstarch, right? Because that is all that you use in restaurants is cornstarch to thicken. And so after many tries, I found kind of a combination of cooked onion that you just puree and then coconut flour. And so kind of that combination just really makes it really nice and thick and like an actual gravy. Um, and it's not super coconutty. So if you're not a fan of coconut, it really tastes like turkey and like gravy because you also use the drippings from the turkey to make the gravy. My favorite as a kid was always pecan pie. So I have SCD pecan pie, and I think I did my grandpa proud. It's
Really?
good. Yeah, it's really good. And very reminiscent of what I remember as a child, and it's kind of got that very crisp layer on top with the kind of how it caramelizes the honey, and then that really sweet gooey center and that nice crust. It's my favorite for sure. I also do have a apple cake recipe that is newer, and it's an upside down apple cake with a salted caramel glaze, which is really nice if you're not a fan of pie, because not everybody wants pie for Thanksgiving. Then I also do have a traditional pumpkin pie, well, SCD, but pumpkin pie as well. So all the home bases covered.
That's great. Well, I hope everyone, please go check out these recipes. She is wonderful at what she does, and am I right when I say you're probably a perfectionist, Abigail?
I tend to be, yes. How did you know?
Well, when I look at your recipes, I just kind of get the vibrations that you've tested everything about 1,000 times.
Yeah,
Or
it's
it's
about
finally.
as many times as everyone can handle eating the same recipe.
So if you're looking for someone that is really going to be able to deliver this holiday with the recipes that you love, check out her website, check out every recipe. I think it's amazing that you are giving all of this to us for free. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I hope that you'll come back and join us again.
Yes, I would love to.
Take care.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.